across 17 government schools in one region in Bangalore, we managed to reach every child on the phone and talk about mental well-being, about awareness. In my conversations with the education department in a couple of states tells me that technology in classrooms, technology for teachers, they don't know how to implement it. Schools that we work in is there is a lack of resources, basic resources. So textbooks are there, notebooks and stationery is not there. Uniforms are given, but one pair is given. Technology is non-existent. And the most important factor is teachers are not there in every class.
Hello everyone, this is Hensi Thakkar from the CSR Journal. Today we have with us a very special guest, Ms. Shaina Ganapathy from the Embassy Group. Shaina is part of the leadership team at Embassy Group and she heads the group's outreach initiatives that focuses on education, health, sustainable infrastructure. Hi Shaina, welcome to the CSR Journal.
Thanks for having me, Hensi.
So Shaina, children have been identified amongst the most vulnerable population amid COVID-19 and the ensuing lockdowns because their schools have been closed. They are not allowed to go out and play with their friends. Their development has been affected severely because of that. So what are the steps required to contain the damage caused due to their lives from the corporates as well as the government?
One of the earliest things that I remember being faced with was, do they have enough food to eat, right? We were, as Embassy and all its group companies, we were focusing on catering to the needs of government schools. So these are the lowest rung of schools, as you know, in our education system. And very early on, especially in March, when the lockdown happened, we realized that parents could not go to work and therefore food must be their first priority. We reached out to all our corporate tenants in our tech parks, to all our employees at Embassy. And I think one of the first things that we did, and I'm sure a lot of corporates around India focused on as well, was to reach ration to the children and their families. Right. And we were very successful in raising about 5 lakh meals. And we went back and gave 2 or 3 rounds of ration, not only in government schools that we supported, but also in geographic locations, which I realized the government was fantastic at being well organized. So there were MLAs and corporators who knew who are the below income group folks in their individual localities. And they reached out to corporates who are located in those geographic regions. And my experience was, rewarding because we didn't have to deal with any middlemen. They were open to us paying the CSR funds, so to speak, directly to the shopkeeper because CSR allowed us, fortunately, that room under COVID. The second aspect that I feel that all corporates should have done by now or can continue doing is if they are supporting NGOs that directly work with young children, don't pull out your resources would be my advice and plea to them. What it really does is if it sustains the NGO partner will find a way, whether it's online or even through telephone calls. It's something that we experimented and worked well. Across 17 government schools in one region in Bangalore, we managed to reach every child on the phone and talk about mental well-being, about awareness, how to keep themselves safe, create that awareness, talk to the parents, find out if somebody was extremely sick, reach help to them. This was possible to do at a scale because our NGO partners were still functioning. They didn't grapple with having to pay salaries or look for funding. So mental health would be my number 2 big one after food. And of course, the last and third thing I think every corporate and government has endeavored to do is to reach out to, again, NGO partners who are trying to teach online. So this online teaching, as vague as it may sound for the government school segment, and it's more clearer as the private school system, you can actually put it in a box and say, okay, this is what we're able to do. WhatsApp has worked wonders. So through the first few months, while we were giving ration, for example, we collected phone numbers. We told parents, we'll be in touch with you. Make sure you share your phone with the child for an hour every day. And through that process, through multiple times of meeting them, we managed to get hold of mobile numbers, which I think all across India NGOs have done it very effectively with help of corporates and government. Government fortunately also has a system to capture the data and push some activities to the children, videos to the children, have chats with them from time to time to keep them mentally also active through this whole process. You can't do justice to it, but I'm sure these are the three areas where we can partner with still, and some of us are doing it already. So that would be my view.
Actually, when you mentioned that, you kind of reached out to the parents and gave them collected their phone numbers and made sure that they give the phone to their children. The children have access to those phones. But, there are times when, because the children, like, of course, after a certain age, you can expect them to be sincere enough to follow through all those instructions. But if a child is very young, to have them sit in one place just staring at a phone, just having them do that is very difficult. So, like, I mean, I don't know how would you try, what changes could we bring to make sure that that is still getting delivered to even that age group?
So practically it happened with our intervention.
Mhm.
We realized that parents had a role to play. So even though a mother goes to 5 houses to do housework or top work or whatever she does, there is a time in the evening where we would request the parents to sit with the child when they're too young. And most of the younger interventions were not online. It was sending them an activity and giving them time to get back to us. Like they would write in their notebook, take a picture, send that activity back to us. So it is a challenge. It is, I think, a challenge even with children in private schools,
Yeah.
given their attention span. But instead of nothing, if at least 2 or 3 activities hit the children on the phone once a week, I think we are home. We can't expect anything beyond that.
What role can a CSR play in modernizing the education system in India?
I think there is one thing that is really worrying me a lot, and that is technology
Yeah.
uh, in the education system.
Yes.
Like you may be an international school or a private school or a government school, but all this is managed by the education department of every state.
Right.
And unfortunately, my experience has been in my conversations with the education department in a couple of states tells me that technology in classrooms, technology for teachers, their ability to use technology is a rocket science to them still. They don't know how to implement it. And I feel that corporates have a large role to play in this, especially a city like Bangalore, where every other corporate is a tech giant. What I keep telling my friends in the government is come up with what you want, first of all. Come up with a product that or a scope of work for us as corporates and let us help you crack it. The other huge monster that has to be sort of driven out of the room is health. So a lot of when I speak for the government school children today. A lot of them don't have access to basic health care. And CSR mandates of corporates can be to support the government to deliver a health program in schools, not only solving a problem of a sick child, but taking preventive action towards children even falling sick. So there's a huge mandate there. And fortunately, the last 4 years, Embassy, as you know, is in the business of leasing office spaces to some of the largest corporate houses in the world, tech giants in the world. A lot of them have very strong and similar beliefs like us. And they also have CSR budgets. So we've managed to convince four of them to join us. And we deliver a health program across 133 schools from Noida to Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore and Chennai, which is largely preventive in nature. Our focus is more on preventive than worrying about what could be, what needs to be solved. And this has been on for the fourth year now. And when COVID happened, it just became so relevant. The fact that these children already knew what preventive healthcare was was a huge, boon to us. So yeah, health infrastructure is another area. A lot of schools require safe infrastructure. When I say safe infrastructure, we take it for granted that everything works in a classroom. And you know that sometimes in a classroom in a government school, nothing works. The broken windows, there is no light coming in, there is seepage in the roof, broken furniture. So fixing the infra and making it safe and maintaining the infra, that's the key to the whole story. These are, gaping holes in the system that we as corporates can fix.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the focus areas of Embassy Group for their CSR initiatives?
So as I've mentioned to you, we are a real estate developer, right?
Right.
So the first and largest impact that we bring to the table is we partner heavily with the government. We don't do anything outside a partnership. So we identify infrastructure needs in government schools and we fix them. It could be anything from a broken tap to giving them a brand new building, the whole spectrum we do. So what we realized in schools that we work in is there is a lack of resources, basic resources. So textbooks are there, notebooks and stationery is not there. Uniforms are given, but one pair is given. Technology is non-existent. And the most important factor is teachers are not there in every classroom. There is a ratio proportion that they work with. So ultimately, the children are without teachers in some classrooms. So we decided to fix the resources first. So our second area of focus for Embassy is the education outcomes inside a government school. So first we provide the resources, and through NGO partners, we've appointed about 90 odd teachers / mentors that stand side by side with the government school teachers and make sure that the delivery of the subjects are happening the way it should and they pass exams. The third interesting one is collaboration. I'll talk about it a little bit more. We felt the need to not only collaborate with governments, but also with our corporate tenants and employees of Embassy and employees of these corporate tenants. So we do a lot of our work collectively and collaboratively. So we have a series of, conversations with our occupants, the CSR heads, where we talk about common problems in the geographies where we work. It could be here, it could be in Pune, it could be another part of Bangalore, etc. And we look at 2 or 3 things that are glaring and needs help. And we find a mandate between us to fix it together. It's not that all our CSR funding goes into collaborative projects, but that's another area of focus for us, doing things collectively, which is a very sustainable.
Yeah, that's a part of your Corporate Connect program. Is that what you were mentioning?
Yes.
Yeah, would you like to talk more about that right now?
So typically there are close to 200 tenants across our tech parks, and all of us have CSR mandates, and we were surprised that all of us work in education and health. Okay. Literally, 80–90% of us, and all of us work in silos. Okay. So I think our endeavor has been to reach out to each one of them and tell them that we as a developer have the expertise and to bring in infrastructure support to any projects that might be in the field of education that they are working in. There is no middleman, there's no contractor, there is economies of saving so much money because our procurement is done centrally. We have our own in-house project management team that would otherwise charge a fee for project management. So we do that pro bono. So we take care of, from the time a survey needs to be done or a scope needs to be drawn out, permissions to be had, and develop the entire infrastructure and deliver it to our tenant. And they come in as a funding partner, and we pitch in 50% almost all of the time. So it's a collaborative, story. And when we started doing this, we realized that more and more corporates saw the value in being able to do a lot more if we came together. A very simple example was in the beginning of COVID, the education department needed sanitizers to conduct the 10th standard exams across the state. And this was not in their budget, and they were looking for help. And when we mooted this idea amongst our corporate connect members, we managed to bring in 1 crore rupees. which was the budget that we needed. And we reached sanitizers to over 2,900 schools in Karnataka, where the 10th standard exams took place. For 6 days, the sanitizers were good. And over 9.2 lakh teachers and students visited these centers every day. This could not have been possible if embassy took it on alone. Right. And the fact that we did it with others just laid an example for the rest of our corporates, saying that let's join hands, where our CSR money also goes a long way. And we've done about 46 projects so far. And some of them have been repeat corporates. So we've managed to engage with over 26 corporates. So it brings in not only money, but also a huge opportunity to build a relationship with a corporate tenant, which is not commercial, Yeah. You're not always negotiating rents or, talking about your rental or your facilities all the time. It really, takes our relationship to a different level, and often it leads to repeat business. And that's been something that Embassy as a company has always believed in, trying to create value for each other, trying to build on a relationship that not just focuses on our business aspect, but also with people on both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does the CSR initiatives and all the initiatives by Embassy Group contribute towards sustainable development goals?
So embassies, as I've explained our focus areas to you, a year ago, we were given the mandate to align ourselves to the sustainable development goals set up by the UN. And at the end of the exercise, 7 goals matched with what we were doing. I think that was a huge sign of, what shall I say, comfort for all of us at the board level, saying that, there is a reason why sustainable development goals are set out for each country, and there is collective growth. And we were largely in the direction of where we should be headed. So, yeah, there are areas of hunger, child and mother care, infrastructure support were the key large areas, but we had alignment with 7 of the goals.
Yeah, so you talked about collaborations and basically collective giving. So the COVID-19 pandemic, it has brought about so much of unpredictability that it has necessitated that all of the forces, including the governments, NGOs, as well as the corporates, to work in collaboration. So how can corporates contribute in streamlining these partnerships and making them more sustainable?
Start with the understanding of the power of collaborating, right? I think if there is a mandate from the government saying that these are 4 areas under COVID where we need your help, the government should be able to package the requirements in a way that corporates understand. So I'm glad you asked me this question, because in the last 3 months, I've been sitting with the government to document some of these things in a way a corporate understands. So I was advising them, saying that, look, I know you need help. Take the police department, for instance, right? They've been on the street managing this pandemic from March, right? But until about August, they didn't know that they could ask corporates for help. Because of a relationship that we had with the police commissioner on a different level, we had taken one of our corporates to give them an IT solution once. I reached out to his secretary and said, sir, for the pandemic, do you need anything? And then it started a conversation where every single policeman on the road needed a small sanitizer, needed a mask, needed gloves, needed a place for them to relax or rest during the 24 hours that they were out there. This led to a whole conversation within our corporate circles where we decided to collectively give the police enough sustainable, we even gave them an energy bar that they can, every morning when they report to their station, they get an energy bar, a mask and a face shield and gloves. And they basically are able to go into the field equipped for that day. And the next day they get a fresh whatever. But for the police to even articulate that in a letter, it took time. I remember preparing the drafts for them and saying, sir, you send me a letter, here is the draft and I'll activate it. You'll continue to do your work, And across India, we had tech parks in every city, at least a minimum of 2 to 3, right? So we opened up hydration points for them where 24/7 the police could come in, take a sip of water, a hot cup of chai or coffee. They used a clean washroom. If it was a mealtime, we even gave them food. Now, once we set up this framework, I took it to the corporates. And I said, guys, we've set this up. I cannot sustain it all along the, 6, 7 months, right? It costs 40 or 50 lakhs every month. Can some of you join us? And sure enough, we had corporates pitching in.
Coming to the end of the interview, what role is the embassy group looking to play in the post-COVID recovery?
One is very clearly sustaining the work of our NGO partners who are already on the ground, who have been stuck because of COVID. I think that's our first priority, which means all our education initiatives will continue. The infrastructure work that I described to you, fortunately didn't stop. It had a mild sort of shake up when the workers left town, but then we picked up and we've been managing to do our work. But I think our focus is to, again, reach out to our government partners and ask them, how can we help you get back on the feet? Let me give you a very small example. Schools are opening in Karnataka on the 1st of Jan. All schools, right?
That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that means government schools are opening. So what we have designed and we've shared with our corporate partners also is every teacher coming into the school will be given a complimentary face mask, right? To start with, protect the teacher. We've also given them sanitizers free, which will be like a monthly, quantity of sanitizers will reach the school. We've also given them dispensers. So everybody entering the school will be sanitized when they come in. So that's taken care of. Through our property maintenance team, we have been maintaining schools, as I told you, right? Whatever we build or adopt, we maintain. So very, very deep cleaning, very, very high levels of deep cleaning is going on currently with sanitization, which we want to continue every single week after the school opens. So the post-COVID, function continues. And I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, we've been giving children preventive health kits as part of our health program, which contains a mask, a oral hygiene kit, hand wash, shampoos, just to keep themselves physically clean. So we will continue to make sure that children have access to our health kits completely, and nutrition. I think through the pandemic, whether they were at home, we're not sure what was really going on because unfortunately, a large component of government school children come to schools for their midday meal.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure what's going on. I mean, we were able to give ration 3 times, but beyond that, I'm not sure what went on. So nutrition is a big aspect.
Thank you so much for your time, Shaina. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.